Hello and welcome back to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast. I'm your host, Dave Neal, and this week my guest is one of the contenders for the 2024 Bennetts British Superbike Championship. After the ride of his career at Cadwell Park, coming away with 2 wins at a track he's never won before, Kyle headed into Oulton Park last weekend with the sole aim of closing the gap on championship leader Tommy Bridewell. We sat down with the Grilla OMG rider on Thursday night before the action began, and this is what he had to say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kyle Ryde.
Kyle Ryde, Grilla OMG Racing Yamaha. Welcome back to the show, mate. Lovely to see you. How are you?
You too. I'm good.
Are you ready for this weekend? Hang on, just turn that round because it's falling away. That's it.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Zip that and it'll stay across. These little microphones are a bit sensitive. You're all right with that?
Sure.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll keep that.
Yeah, I'm good. Ready for the weekend.
You sure? You don't say you sound really relaxed and nice and chilled out, mate. For me, it feels like there's a big difference between our chat last year and our chat this year. In how you hold yourself, in your confidence. Said this to Tommy when we spoke to him at Knockhill. There's a big air of confidence about you now that you are a British Superbike rider, and Cadwell proved that. What's been the biggest change over the last 12 months?
Everything's just fell into place, really. My bike's no different to when Mr. Bradley Ray won the championship. My bike's pretty much the same. It just, some riders takes a bit longer, doesn't it, to really to find the confidence in the window that they want to be in. And yeah, at the minute I'm in a state of mind and window that I feel like I can't really get knocked out of it. And I know if things went badly for a day or whatever, it's no fault of my own. It's just bike racing. So yeah, to get to this point, it takes a lot of hard graft and rubbish weekends, bad days. But that's just bike racing. Everyone goes through that. But there's always a point where you get in a window and it's the best thing you can ever be. So yeah, the weeks after Cadwell, I know you wanted to talk about Cadwell in a minute, but yeah, after Cadwell till now has been so nice, so easy. Cycling and a bit of golf. And yeah, frame of mind's been good.
Something else we'll talk about as well, the golf now, because you're so...
addicted. Yeah.
A lot of people say, it's Kyle, it's his snooker. He loves his snooker. He's brilliant at snooker. That's kind of gone by the wayside now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're a golf man. And a little birdie tells me, pardon the pun, you're down to single figures.
8.5 now, yeah.
Do you know what? People try years for that.
I know, I've got a lot of time on me.
You have a story, is it? Professional motorcycle racer.
People watching this, I probably play as much in 1 week as what they can do in a month. But as my mum would say, it's the life of Riley. So
it is a little bit.
I get it. I used to tell her to shut up, but I get it now. But as a family and myself, we've all worked for this to this point, and yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't take it for granted. I'm just really happy that I'm in the position that I am, and not many people get to ride a superbike, never mind being in a position to try and win it. So, yeah, I'm enjoying life, and bike riding's good. Golf's getting a lot better. All the family, dog, everyone's been great. So, yeah, it's been a good year.
I don't think anybody would begrudge you that time either, because as a family, you've put in the graft over the years. You kind of worked too hard at it. In some respects, and like dissecting what went on over the weekend, and you have to detach yourself from the sport, but you can only do that. That comes with kind of maturity and with guidance, I guess, from Tommy Hill and Shaz and Paul and Alan, that you can switch off from racing now. Has that been a big change for you, being able to go, right, I'm off to play golf now?
Well, yeah, obviously I've got a lot more people. I've always had people in my corner, but then I always thought it was just me. It's me that does the work, but now I'm a bit older and I've understood it a bit more. The people that are in your corner do so much more than what you think. It's mind-boggling. Obviously, people watching at home, they see me ride the motorbike, but there's so much more to that. Yeah, Tommy and all my team, especially Tommy, has been brilliant. And not just for me either, my mum, dad, they love Tommy. He does everything. He probably does too much, bless him. Because he doesn't just do his own job and sort me out as well. He's flat out. He's got 2 kids, and yeah, he does, for the amount he does, the time he does, he sets off at 4:00 this morning to get here to help the boys out with the boarding when he probably doesn't need to, but he does it anyway. He's a very thoughtful man, and yeah, he's done hand over fist. Whatever it costs me to pay Tommy, it's worth it in a month, never mind for the full season. These all see it as well. He earns his money in a month, never mind a year. So I'm obviously privileged to have Tommy. Last probably two years before he helped me out, Mum asked him, because as a family we thought he'd be brilliant at it, but I understand why he didn't want to. And I think obviously his kids got a bit older and he was still in the paddock. He thought he'd give it a go. And maybe I'm just lucky, he's lucky. I'm a kind of chilled back person. I'm not so much, I need a manager, No. I needed someone that would just help me out and tell me that I'm quite fast sometimes when I'm feeling down, and he's good at that. He sends texts at the right time on a race weekend, and yeah, not a bad word to say about him. And I've got better, not as a rider, but the weekend's been going a lot more smoothly because of Tommy and how everything works at home, and that's all it is. That's a lot of bike racing. It's I've not riding any different to what I was probably 2 years ago, but I'm a second of that faster now. And that's just confidence and knowing that everything's fell into place.
It's a confidence sport, isn't it? And riding a 230 odd brake horsepower superbike around some of these tracks, it's not easy. With the experience that some of your peers have got, Tommy Bridewell's been in the championship years, Glenn's done years, Jason's done years, Brooksy's done years. To have that level of experience and to come in the way you did with Hawk and then OMG, but then changing manufacturers, going from BMW then to the Yamaha, but growing as a rider at the same time. It's not an easy championship to be a part of.
No, and I mean, 2022, when Brad demoralised everyone, he was on the same bike as me and the data looked the same. He was just in this window that I'm in now. That's the only way I can put it, because I feel like I can ride to Brad's capabilities because I've done exactly what he did when he won. All those lap times he did where everyone was amazed, we've done them this year. So it takes time. It hinders me in some sort of ways that it's took maybe 3 years to get to this point, but I'm just glad that my team has put faith in me, knowing that it would get to this point. And now that we're here, obviously it's a brilliant feeling, and I've just got to keep riding the wave.
Nobody's doubted that talent, because as a double British champion at 125 stock 6, you've ridden GP2, you've done most things in the paddock, and nobody doubted the talent that you've got, but it was just nurturing it and having the right people around you. Occasionally a half decent press officer just to guide you right, which is one of the questions for later. Not from me, by the way. But I mean, working with you for 18 months they were 18 months that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I would happily do it again in a heartbeat. We had a great time with you and Brad. But to watch you grow now to where you are, and then to watch what you've done slightly from afar this season, you just look at how you're going about each race weekend. You're not pushing for the results. Even Knockhill, which I guess was the hardest weekend of the year so far. I wonder how crucial those 5 points that you picked up on the Sunday.
Points, yeah.
How crucial they're going to be come the end of the season. Tell us about Knockhill weekend for shit weather, gastroenteritis or whatever it was.
Turned up. We've got a lovely villa there that we had from last year, so we booked the same one. All as a family, we had a great weekend at Knockhill last year, so I thought this time was only going to be better. But unfortunately on Friday, I woke up and I was really ill. Throwing up, end over fist. Couldn't stand up, just kept feeling I was going to pass out. But obviously we had to get to the track, see the medics, see what tablets I could take. I don't know what was up with me, but got to a point I actually ended up being on a drip. And that potentially got me out for FP2, which I think it did get me out, didn't it? But unfortunately the first practice was nearly dry, so it was a lot faster. So I never made Q2 because I missed one practice. And then I woke up Saturday and I felt good. And I went out FP3 and I was fastest out of nowhere. Went half a second quicker than I ever have done. Probably because I was annoyed that I didn't get through to Q1. But yeah, and then qualifying, I thought I can do the same thing. And I had a silly little crash at turn 2. And with it being wet the day before, my knee got caught in the grass, turned it into like a 60-degree sand wedge. And I was convinced I'd broke a bone in my knee. They red flagged it, and I got up and I realised it wasn't broke, but I knew I'd done something bad. And then the day went on, it wasn't too bad, but I woke up the next day and I was crying, not because of pain, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to ride. But got to the track, and our osteopath Becky did an amazing job just to get me on the bike. I had 1 foot peg up down here and 1 foot peg there just so I could get on the bike. Did warm up in tears, and then I managed to get a few points throughout the day. So it didn't look like a great weekend, but yeah, those few points, like what you said, if I'm in a fight at the last round, last race, and all I have to do is follow Tommy instead of beat him, then that Knockhill day was probably what got at me.
That's my thinking. It can be so important come the end of the season. If you win the title by 4 points, there's your points from Knockhill.
Yeah, I look at it in two ways. There's one, I could have scored 25 points in that day if I'd not hurt myself. But the grand scheme of things, I got a few points, and that's the one I look to, really.
At this point in the season, as we sit here at Oulton Park, ahead of the what is now essentially the showdown, when the points change, you're in the best position in the championship you've ever been in. And I think you're 24 points ahead of where you were last year with one less race, because you only had 2 at Navarra.
Yeah.
How do you prepare now for the next 3 rounds of the championship, being in the situation you are, 19 back from Tommy?
Yeah, I'll go about it the same as what I have been doing. I've got a number in my head of how many points I need to score throughout a weekend to get a good average score at the end. And then if I'm in 3rd or 2nd place and Tommy comes past, then I'm going to go as fast as I can to not let him beat me, and vice versa. So if it's dry and I can have a good Friday, there's no reason why I can't do what I did at Cadwell, because I was fast here last time. Just got unfortunate with a silly little epoxy bracket next to the stuck to the frame. One of the bolts come out, got stuck in between the fork legs and the frame, and the handlebars won't move. And I look at it another way. It got stuck into Island Bend doing 150 mile an hour, and I somehow managed to pedal it round without turning the handlebars. And I come in with my eyeballs like this because I thought I was going to crash. So all the mechanics was more annoyed than me. I was just happy that I've not hurt myself. So there's another, maybe that would have been easily 15, 16 points, because I was on for a podium there, which would have brought me right back in it. But racing's racing. I don't know what Tommy's done throughout the year, or any of the people in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but I know everyone's had bad weekends. So Tommy's obviously rode brilliantly when he has had a good day to be where he is, and I've rode brilliantly over the course of the season to be where I am. So yeah, not had any wow weekends. I'd say Cadwell was a wow weekend. But up until that point, up to Cadwell was very, I'd say, mediocre and steady.
Steady puts you 2nd in the championship. Yeah, I know,
but you know,
that consistency is so important.
Yeah, like Whittam said on the commentary after first race at Cadwell, obviously all eyes was on Ryan after the couple of rounds that he'd had at Brands and the double win at Thruxton, and obviously no one really spoke about me. I went under the radar, but over the course of Brands, Thruxton and Cadwell, I think I actually scored more points. So it's just, I put myself in a great position.
Cadwell Park, for me, knowing you as well as I do, and your thoughts on Cadwell Park, just made me smile. You just sit back, looking at what you were doing. Like you say, you kept yourself under the radar. You went about your business beautifully, because all your eyes, as you rightly said, were on Ryan, because he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And then all of a sudden, we've got 2 wins and a 2nd place. Your least favoured track, I would suggest. To come away with that, tell me about that weekend, mate, because that is your best weekend on a superbike ever. Yeah, well,
straight away from Thursday, Ryan was banging the 26s straight away, which is not far off race pace. So he was fast straight away, and I couldn't do a 27 to save my life. I managed to just do one after about 10 laps, but I was sweating my bollocks off. It was bad. So I thought I just didn't want to have a bad weekend or a bad start, because that's where it comes from. And yeah, I don't know what happened, but Friday was same again. It was average. I was just scraping 26s where Ryan was doing 26.2s for fun. And I think all it is Ryan was obviously in a confidence window that I say I'm in, but when you go to Cadwell, the grass comes at you that fast, it takes a bit of time. Some people, it don't take any time. It didn't take Ryan. It took him 5 minutes. But he's really good at getting to that limit straight away. And me being me, I just think obviously your breadwinners are Saturday afternoon, aren't they? So I had plenty of laps, especially with the Thursday night. But when you've got a teammate going so fast straight away, you look at the times and you think, I'm in trouble here. But grand scheme of things, 120 laps later, I was bang on the money. So just took me a bit more time. Great weekend though. It was from Saturday onwards. I qualified good. Was I on pole? No, Jason was on pole. But I did a 26 flat in qualifying on the zero tyre, which was just about as fast as I'd ever gone. Compared to the year before when I was on the X, I was actually faster in most places. It was just a couple of corners out the back where you need a lot of grip that the X outshone the zero. So I was actually riding better than last year, even though the times was 2 or 3 tenths slower. But then when we got to the races, like you say, I did a sterling job, got to the front on the first race. I knew I had to make the most of Ryan starting from where he did with Tommy. And when they said they finished 6th, and I don't know where Tommy finished. I think he finished 6th and Ryan broke down maybe.
Yeah, Ryan, second lap, because there's some wiring under the seat that caught fire.
But I knew they was going to be fast because up until the qualifying, they still was probably a bit quicker than me. But doing 18 laps around Cadwell consistently in the 26s gave me a lot of confidence for Sunday, knowing that if they was a bit quicker, I'd be able to keep up. So come to that last race, I know obviously the second race I come second. I couldn't really pass Tommy on the last lap. He was really good. As he was at Brands last year, I couldn't pass him there either. He's very good at that, Tommy. I think the lap time's never fast on the last lap, but you can't pass him. That's one thing he's quite good at. So that's one thing I need to figure out and learn. Can't be doing that. And then obviously the last race, BSB, with it being 90 years at Cadwell, decided to make us suffer for another 2 laps. So, if not anyone knows, doing 6 laps fast around Cadwell is very hard, never mind 20. And I got in one of those rhythms that don't come around very often, but when it does, I don't make a mistake. And rattled off 20 laps in the low 26s and beat my championship rival at this point by a fair margin. And we all know how good Tommy is at catching people up and how determined he is to not let someone beat him. So when I watched it back on the TV the next day after a few pints of Guinness, I was very chuffed of our road.
I think he should be. And I think the emotion that showed after race 3.
Oh, it was everyone else. I had Tana crying. Tommy was teary. I'm like, for God's sake. Then it started me off, so I thought, right, I'm just going to look on the tank.
Look down. Look down.
Put the visor down.
But as a family, and with Tommy as part of that, and Katana, the circle that you have, to see that, and the team as well. The team are a massive part of that with Daz and Shaz, Will, Bill. Who's the other one?
Jim.
That's it. He's going to kill me for that.
Nah, he won't kill you.
He's going to kill me for that. I've only been talking to him this afternoon. You're trying to remember as you're talking. But the team you've had, they've been by your side. With Shaz a bit more later, but that's been the same crew you've had since you came to the team.
Yeah.
So to move everything forward together and to see that and the emotion at the end of it, that was special. And when you look back, can you understand how special it is for you and the people around you?
Yeah, because Daz and Jim do obviously the Superbike mechanics. They do the same job day in, day out, regardless of where I finish. They do an amazing job. And to see their faces when you win, you understand why they do it. So it was a nice feeling seeing everyone after. And obviously, weekends like that, they have to pack away. If you crash 3 times, they have to pack away if you win 3 times. So when they're smiling, packing the truck away, you know you've had a great weekend. And like I said, there's not very often weekends come about like that. I'd not won a Rider of the Round since Donington last year. Yeah. And obviously seeing Ryan get a couple in 2 meetings, and he's got a King of Brands trophy, and I've never earned one of them. I used to go to Taz's house all the time, and he's got that many of them monster trophies. I'm like, he must have about 9. And I've never had one. So to get that one, with it being a special one, being 90 years at Cadwell, I'll have that forever now. So that's something that no one else can ever get.
Nope. So 2 wins, 2nd place, King of Cadwell.
Pirelli Trophy, man of the meeting.
Yeah. It's pretty much clean sweep.
Yeah, you don't get much better.
It doesn't. And we've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen with Brad when you've been on the other side of the garage. Here at Snetterton, when he did the treble at Snetterton, you've seen that firsthand. And now it's your turn. And that now must give you the confidence to go into these last 9 races. To go, you know what? We can do this.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it happened at Cadwell, because that's probably one of the least places I thought that would happen. When I go to Donington, I expect to be on the podium every time. But when I went to Cadwell, I mean, from last year I did really well there, so I knew I was going to be fast, but I didn't think it was going to be that good, because everyone made a step, especially like Ryan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to get 2 wins there in a 2nd place and being in the hunt to win the third one as well, it was a incredible feeling. But like I said, in my eyes, if I can do it there, I can do it anywhere. So
that's what made it special for me, is because it was Cadwell. I say Donington, you're expected to do it. You podiumed here before. You know, brands you go well at. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, we know you can do it there, but watching you do it there at Cadwell, that for me was a bigger statement of intent than Ryan's Brands Hatch races, because in terms of the championship and your statement to go, right, I'm part of this, and this is what I'm going to do. And to reel off 26.0, 26.1 and run the race on your lap times, what happened beside you or behind you wasn't your concern.
Yeah.
They were your times, they were your markers. And to hit that is like we said, this is the best you've ever ridden.
Yeah, that last race was. But that last race at Cadwell was like a completely separate weekend, because 1, it was 20 laps. 2, it was about that trophy. 3, I needed to beat Tommy because he beat me in the sprint race.
Yeah.
So he clawed a few points back. And what not many people understand as well, it's like my dad's awesome with the pit board, and when I've got number 1 plus 0.3 for half an hour, I see it every time when I come past. I'm rattling off these silly lap times. To some people, it might make them crumble because they're going so much faster than what they have done all weekend, and the bloke behind you is doing the same thing. You think, where's he pulled this out from? Because it was only 2 hours ago he was going half a second slower every lap, and now he's managing to keep up with me. So I give credit where it's due as well, because not only did I win the race, Tommy actually probably went 3 or 4 or 5 seconds quicker than what he did in the race before, so he obviously made a step as well. So yeah, it was very difficult. Lap 18, he was still 0.2 behind me, but I just had enough. Luckily, as you know, I'm very statistics, and I know I was really good in that last sector, so Tommy was good in the first. So it worked out really good for me, because the 2 temps I pulled in the last sector, he couldn't pass me in the first one, and then I gained it back again. So as long as I was clean, I knew I was safe.
What was the biggest thing you learned from the Cadwell weekend about yourself and about your riding?
Just what I said a minute ago. If I can do it there, I can do it anywhere. That's what I've been telling myself.
What do we expect from this weekend at Oulton Park?
I think from here on out, I've got to be consistent. I want to be on the podium in every race when it's dry. If the weather does come in and it's a bit rubbish, I've got to ride better. I know that. My trouble is I try and get a handful of points when it's wet. I'm a good rider in the wet, but it takes me too long. When I get to the mid-race, I'm doing the same lap times as the first guys, but I'm 15 seconds behind. So being this close in the championship, I think it's about time. I'll be brave. If it goes wrong, I won't. I'll still be smiling. At least I've not lost 15 seconds. I've given it a good go at the start. I can deal with losing points knowing that I was as quick as them at the start. But luckily for me this weekend, we've looked, it's going to be dry, so I need to have a good Friday. And there's no reason why I can't do what I did at Cadwell.
No reason at all. What's the dynamic like in the garage with Ryan as a teammate now? Because last year he was still kind of finding his way a little bit with the R1, showed flashes. But this year, obviously, there are certain rounds he's come out swinging. There's certain rounds where things haven't quite gone his way. And character-wise, you're 2 completely different people. What's the dynamic in the garage like now as the season's progressed?
It's always been fine. He's obviously every teammate says the same thing, that you want to beat each other, which is obviously very true. He's your first reference point. But obviously after Brands and Thruxton, as much as I didn't like, he was faster than me towards the end of the races and beat me. I did all I could, and I always accept that. And I never go home and think, I could have just gone a bit quicker there, a bit quicker there. It's bike racing. We get paid to go as fast as we can. And I don't like my teammate beating me. And if he does, then I'll always clap and give my hat where it's due. And he rode brilliantly for those weekends, and he rode brilliantly at Cadwell. He just had a few hiccups, and they come by every so often. And yeah, there's just sometimes people are different, and I just think sometimes I accepted in that last race Ryan was going to win that race. He passed me, and within 4 corners I accepted I'm finishing second because I was not going that fast. I had my speed, and that was it. And it might not have been too fast. In my eyes, it looked too fast. He might have felt like that was good, but he crashed at turn 1, and then I thought, well, I've got to do 18 laps on my own now. Because when he passed me, I thought, well, I can sit in now. But after 4 corners, I thought, I can't sit in. Went into the hairpin. He was about 4 tenths in front, so I'd already accepted second place within 20 seconds. Some people might have thought he was just a lot faster. He actually was at that point. The first lap was a 25.8, and with a full tank of fuel, I was not doing a 25.8. I didn't do 125 all Sunday. So, I give credit where it's due. At 25.8 with a full tank of petrol was very impressive, but risk for reward. He obviously he wanted to win by 5, 6, 7 seconds, and looking back on it, he might have thought he could have maybe just followed me for 16, 17 laps and then pipped me at the end, but it is what it is.
Law of averages said that might have been the easier way to do it.
Yeah,
but everyone
rides the weekends differently. Ryan's Friday and Thursday at Cadwell was the same at Brands when he won all 3 races. He had a brilliant Friday at Brands and he won all 3 races. I had a rubbish Friday at Brands, rubbish Saturday at Brands, and then we changed the whole bike, changed the front tyre, and I had 2 good races. So I felt like if I had that bike on Friday, I could have followed Ryan all weekend, and that's just how racing goes. He started off Friday brilliantly, and he did exactly the same lap time the whole weekend, and no one could catch up. I caught up a little bit, but I needed a few more races to get there. And he did the same at Thruxton and the same at Cadwell. Just Cadwell, it didn't really fall right for him, did it?
No, and that's racing, isn't it?
That's racing, yeah.
You find it, and this is something I was going to ask, because the way that the schedule goes on a Saturday, you've got FP3 straight out. Then, I mean, 90% of the time you don't need Q1, but then you go to Q2. To do those 3 on the bounce, there's a lot of risk in FP3 because there's no time to get anything sorted. I always find FP3 a little bit like, right, boys, you've got 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. Yeah. Go out there, do what you need to check, and then come back in, because so much can affect the rest of the weekend from those 2, from there and from Q2, as it showed for Ryan.
Especially Cadwell with how tight it is, and it's easily to make a mistake. And I just crept through to Q2 on the Friday, but I was still struggling. Yeah. And as a team, Ryan actually let me follow him in FP3, but I didn't learn anything because I got a bit of brake fade and I had to let him go. So I still didn't learn anything. And then when we went out for qualifying, he agreed to do the same thing as long as I stayed far enough back just to get a view of where he was quicker. And on the second lap, he crashed at the gooseneck. So I still didn't find anything where he was quicker. So, but going on, like I said, I just needed more laps. I got to a point where it was panicking a little bit and I need to get up that grid. So I used Ryan as a bit of a target, but it didn't quite work out as I wanted to. But I just needed those more laps because I ended up qualifying second on my own anyway.
Yeah, but it shows you can do it.
But I would still believe if Ryan would have stayed on, he would have been on pole position for sure. Because if he can do a 25.8 with a full tank of fuel, he'd have gone a lot faster in qualifying. He just had a bit of a slip off at the gooseneck. So was happy that he let me follow him. But as he seen as well, he, after the FP3, he said to me, he's like, "Did you learn anything?" I was like, "No, the brakes didn't work for the first lap." And then obviously for qualifying, like I said, he crashed to the gooseneck, so I didn't learn out. But I learned a lesson that day. I just need to believe in myself, and it will click. 26.7 wasn't fast enough, but it was going to come at some point. I was just probably rushing it a little bit, so I was probably lucky I didn't crash or do something, because going from a 26.7 to a 26 flat in one lap can cause a lot of issues most of the time with you or your bike. And at Cadwell, the grass can come a lot quicker when you go that much faster, so I got lucky, really.
When was the last time you believed in yourself on a bike?
I do, most of the time. I know everyone believes in me. I know that day in, day out, and I've done for years. It takes me... I go through days where if I don't, I probably didn't get to Cadwell, and that's why I followed Ryan, because the year before I was doing 26 flats, and then all of a sudden I'm doing 26 sevens, but at previous tracks I was going quicker than what I did last year, so I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong? But yeah, like I said, if your teammate's doing that lap time and you're doing that, you think, what's going on? But like I said, Cadwell, pretty dangerous. Takes some people a lot more time than it does others.
I was watching fair closely, and I mean, I've been going to Cadwell since before you were born. And you see at the top by the cafe, the bit that where you turn into barn, there's a couple of inches of tarmac the other side of the white line. But the one that I'd never watched from before that was new to me was coming out of the gooseneck as how far across you get.
And then brake.
And then straight on the anchors. But as you come out the gooseneck, the front wheel's light.
Yeah.
So you're accelerating hard out the gooseneck to go straight on the brakes into Mansfield. But you're literally, and as Ryan found out, as Tommy found out, and a couple over the weekend did, that's tight, Kyle. That's really tight. I thought that place gave my hairs on the back of the neck at the cafe and at Barn. But watching from the exit of the gooseneck, because the bike's so less planted, if you like, before you jump on the brakes. What's it like for you coming through Chris Curve, gooseneck, and then Mansfield?
Well, yeah, the gooseneck's obviously hanging off. So when you're coming out, you've just got to be in a rhythm doing the same thing. And when the front wheel comes up, you can't see the white line. It's impossible. So then when it lands, you have to wait to make sure you're not on the grass, then brake. But it's all, you can't teach anybody how to go through the gooseneck into there. Anyone that's jumping up onto a superbike, you can't just teach them how to do it. You've got to figure it out yourself. And like I said, it took me years to go fast around Cadwell, but I finally figured it out. But yeah, you can't teach someone there. You go to Donington, I feel like I could teach them how to do anything. Yeah. But Cadwell, it's so much of a confidence and belief and knowing you've got it under control. It's the only track I have to pull in after 5 laps of going because I can't see. I've got double vision every year without fail. I pull in and everyone says, what's up? I say, I can't see. I take my helmet off and I have to have a bit of water. And you think, am I fit enough to do this? But then you do what you do on Sunday. Yeah. You're blowing out your arse Thursday night, doing 28s. I can't see. I've got double vision. I'm tipping into all bends. I've got 2 white lines. I think I better pull in before I hurt myself. And then you come to Sunday and you can do 20 laps in the 26s. It's a mad little place.
It's amazing how the body adjusts though, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just so tight. When you're on the bike, it feels no wider than this table. That's what you're working with. So to try and pass someone.
We can see that because the race, it was difficult to pass, wasn't it? There's only really Glenn with Tommy that made a pass. And that I would hazard a guess that if that was you or somebody else, Glenn maybe wouldn't have gone from that far back, but because it was Tommy.
You look at it in 2 ways, and Glenn, he didn't just make the corner, he set a real good sector. So he hasn't gone all out of his way to put Tommy on the grass, it just made a pass. But into there, the person's going on the grass, that's how tight it is around Cadwell. But yeah, between those two, it was quite funny to watch because as Tommy passed Glenn into a park at the end of the back straight, when you watch the onboard, Glenn found something inside him and he did the gooseneck and Mansfield, the best he'd done it all weekend, and then passed him into the chicane just to ruin his race. So
the joys of it all. When you watched it back on the Monday, what was the one thing that gave you the most pride when you're watching how you rode Cadwell?
It's an hard watch because I just didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing special about it. Although it was special overall, I didn't look at anything and think like, wow. It was just I didn't make a mistake. And I could see the last 5 laps how hard Tommy was trying to catch me up, and it looked almost kind of easy for me because I'd done 20 minutes doing the same thing every lap. But yeah, like I said, different tracks you go to, you get in that little window and you're hard to beat. And Tommy's had his days, and Cadwell that Sunday, that was my day.
And long may it continue, mate. We'd like to see that continue again this weekend and up to the end of the season. And then what will be when we get to Brands in, what is it, 6 weeks?
I don't know.
Something like that. 4 weeks? 4 weeks' time. 4 or 5 weeks' time. You're doing a bit of work with the younger riders, with Joe Talbot.
Yep.
I see he's got your logo on the front of his visor. You've been in that position as a younger rider, coming through the ranks and making your way and seeing where you want to be. How much have you enjoyed passing your knowledge on to Joe? Because he's a super little talent, Joe Talbot.
He's
well, taller now. He used to be little, but he's a lot taller than he was.
He's a real nice kid. I do like him and his dad. He reminds me of me when I was 20 years old. And I know not so much how hard it is, but to go racing in his class, it costs a lot of money. And that sort of class, you don't get paid to ride in that class. You go to get to where I am. And he's got the talent to be where I am. It might take him a few years when it moves up, if he moves up. But he's a very nice kid, rides very well. Love how he rides a bike. And yeah, I've helped him out a little bit. He was selling visor sticker spots for what you could get fish and chips for. So I told him it's worth a lot more than that. So me and a few good friends of my sponsors all chipped in and got a visor sticker for the top and the bottom for him. So, and I don't mind doing that. I like giving a bit back, and I'm very lucky to be where I am. So giving a bit back to someone like Joe in 4 or 5 years' time, if he's sat here with you doing the same thing, then I've done something good.
There's no doubt he will be. We had him on last year. I find it a little bit difficult with our audience because, as with most people, when you see on a race weekend, when the support classes are on, that's when they go for a brew or a Waz or whatever.
Best racing most of the time.
But a lot of it is the best racing. It's absolutely right. We've seen some, and you've been part of them over the years, some brilliant stock 600 races, some brilliant super sport races, some great stock 1000 races. And they're the lads that are coming through to take your place in the years to come. Because you've got plenty of years left. What are you now, 26?
7.
You turned 27, didn't you? So as you go through and become Brooksy, he's going to be coming through for the next Kyle.
Yeah.
But also, we don't know what they're going to be riding. I don't think they're going to be 1000cc superbikes when he comes through, but it's still going to be a British championship.
But he's 20.
Yeah.
He's doing way more than what I did. I did a lot more than him probably at a younger age, Joe. But he's riding around Oulton Park doing mid-35s at 20 years old, which is what I was doing in my first year on a superbike when I was maybe 22, 23. So he's a few years ahead of me already doing the same lap time. So if and when he moves up to superbike, he's in a great place because one his age and two is fast already. But it's difficult, that class. No, I wouldn't just go in that class and make a mug of them all. It's impossible. They're all just as good as what we are. And if Joe was to ride my bike, he might not be as fast as me, but after a few years, I believed he would be. That's what BSB, that class, is about, and it takes someone, a good team manager, to put faith in someone, not just for a chance for 6 months or a year. It takes time.
Of course it does. And we find that, don't we, that people don't get time in certain championships in certain places. But I do feel that and Joe Richardson's been a massive part of Joe's development, little Joe's development, along with how you're helping him. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the big class next year in some way, shape or form. So I think there's a few movements and things going about. It's silly season's underway and everything else. It wouldn't be fair to ask you your plans because with 3 rounds to go, and if you did know, you wouldn't tell me anyway. So I'm not going to ask.
You are. Not allowed to say it, but
exactly.
If it was off camera, I'd tell you straight away.
I'll ask you when the cameras are
It's
up.
pretty obvious.
I would like to think so. That would be nice if that was the case. But we'll wait for the official announcement. We've done a couple more questions like we did last year. because one or two people have asked us to bring them back and just to end the interviews with them. And we've got the Patreon questions.
I mean, we've got a few.
How many do you want? I'm not doing them all.
All right.
you got things to do and places to be, mate.
I'm not doing it till 6, so.
Oh, mate, well, we could do all of these.
Do whatever you want.
Thanks, mate. What's your favourite thing about you?
Me?
Yeah.
You know what? Someone asked me that question earlier.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. And do you mean racing side? We say racing side.
Personally.
Personally, well, I'll go racing side because I spoke about it today.
Did you ask that?
No, it was Whittam.
Oh, was it?
And it's actually what Whittam says every time on the TV. He says, I always under-promise and overachieve.
Absolutely.
I think that's a favourite thing.
I think that's the way to be sometimes, isn't it? That's got. I wonder show with.
It's only him saying it on the TV that makes me realise if he's saying that all the time, then that must be true.
Well, he's not wrong, is he?
He also said as well. Did you watch the racing back? As in, he said a few funny things. I think one of them was. He'd never lie to you. Like if his pace is sick, he'll tell you it's sick. But he said if you owned a shop and he nicked a Mars bar, he said he'd come up and say, "Look, I've nicked a Mars bar," which is very true.
You're nothing if not honest, mate.
Yeah, you've got to be honest.
Honest is the key to a lot of things. What's the best part about being a motorcycle racer?
Probably being able to play golf Monday to Thursday.
Kind of expected after the conversation we had earlier. I kind of expected that bit. This was one question that I found in the week, which I thought was kind of cool. What's the one piece of advice that you can share with our audience?
Odd question.
Isn't it?
Well, most of them are obviously going to be bikers, aren't they?
Yeah. So if you could give somebody a nickel's worth of free advice.
I'll go two ways. I'll go one, probably keep watching BSB all the time because that's obviously the best racing, and it is. And two, if most of them do track days, spend a bit more money and get one of us to come and help you.
Perfect. There you go. Sound advice from Kyle Ryde. And I take it you're available for a small fee.
No, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it like that.
No, but you're on Wits track days, aren't you? Sometimes with Christian and Simo and a few others.
I see it all the time, and people, you can't do it budget. If you're a track day rider, there's no budget anymore. Everything costs so much money. You buy a set of tyres, you do this, you do that. An extra 150 quid, and you could get instructed by one of us at Whittam's track days, or no-brainer. No-brainer. People that do come, you see the same faces every time because it's mint. They love it. They get instructed by me and Ido, Lee Johnston, Max Cook. Best advice I could give you.
If you're spending 30 grand on a track day bike, plus all the kit to go with it, plus the upkeep of it.
Yeah, you want someone half decent teaching you.
Yeah, why would you not want to learn how to ride it properly? I like that. What's the weirdest dream you've ever had, Kyle?
I don't know. It's normally when I've had cheese. If I eat cheese, I can have about 6 dreams in one night and I have to wake up and make sure my body parts are still there. I can't remember a dream, but after cheese, it's never pizza though. I can have
really?
I can have pizza and not dream. But if I have like cheese and crackers, I'm up all night thinking like weird shit.
What's the wildest thing you've done that nobody knows about?
Trying to think. It's not going to be good though, is it? So much just coming to my head already, but
this question's getting used regularly.
You're probably not going to get any answers out of anyone, are you?
I mean, some might let it slip. You're definitely not.
Wildest thing. Okay. Depends what wild is.
Everybody's got a different version of wild, haven't they?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying my version, so.
Fucking love you, mate. This is brilliant. If you weren't a racer, what would you be?
A virgin.
Brilliant. Absolutely. I was dying to answer it. That's my boy. Who would you trust to help you bury a body?
My mum. Hands down.
Yeah, no question.
She can keep a secret, that woman.
She absolutely can. What's your go-to takeaway order?
Domino's.
What'd you have?
Thin and crispy, say 500 calories, and it's better.
What's the topping?
I normally get tandoori hot, but I really like, like next day when you have pizza and it's cold. But if you get thin and crispy, it comes and the first few slices are like lukewarm, and the rest is cold because there's it's that thin. It gets cold before it gets delivered.
Can't retain the heat, can it?
And it's like a diet because you say 500 calories.
500 calories.
There's a lot in it.
That is a lot.
Yeah. Look, when it says what base do you want, you can save 600 calories basically by going thin and crispy and have the same toppings.
So that's a 5k run for me, 500 calories. Do a bit of that, then I could lose this dad bod that I've cultivated nicely. Final one from me. Do you have any secret weird habits?
Probably picking hairs out of my chin and neck 24/7. It winds everyone up, especially Tana. I've actually got a set of tweezers in my van on the right hand side and in my pickup because I can't drive without them.
Because you see one, especially the thing is, you're
never do
not
it
so
now,
bad for here. But ear hair, when you're talking to somebody and you can see they've got one, and it glints in the sun, you're talking to the hair.
Yeah, you just want
But Jen does. Jen will literally reach across and pull it out.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Mine, I just don't like. It's not so much. I can't grow a facial hair anyway. I could never be able to have a beard, but
you could sneeze and that falls off.
I know, literally. But I could have a shave, a good proper one as well, with a new blade, and I'll still find the hair 10 minutes later. It winds me up.
Things you find out.
Well, it's pretty weird, though, isn't it? Not weird.
No, it's not. But I have a similar thing with. Well, it doesn't matter what mine are. It's not about me. We'll move on to our Patreon. Thank you, mate. We'll move on to our Patreon questions.
I thought that was their questions.
No, they're mine. The Patreon questions.
Oh, it's going to be bad, isn't it?
They're coming up. Nah, these aren't too bad, actually. These are pretty good.
Okay.
From Maggie Day. Hi, Kyle. Years ago, I think at Cadwell, I met your mum, and I remember at the time she was telling me about all the stress of trying to get funding. And I think at the time it was touch and go as to whether you would have to have enough to carry on. Can you believe, you're about to do a wild card in World Superbike? To me, it hasn't taken you that long, but down to hard work. How are you feeling about the wild card?
I'm very excited to do the wild card. While I'm obviously on the podcast, I'd never be able to do that without Alan and Paul and the whole team. So I really appreciate the opportunities to do that. They know that anyway. I'm always very appreciative of what I get and what I do, and that's, to me, a massive bonus towards what's been a great season up to yet, regardless of what happens in these next 3 meetings. Yeah. That World Superbike race will be a great bonus. And what was her name? Maggie?
Maggie.
Yeah. To Maggie's question, yeah, my mum and dad remortgaged the house probably 2 or 3 times in their lifetime of me being a bike racer. So yeah, they probably won't be far off paying their house off by now if it weren't for me, but I bet they've got 200 grand left, so I wouldn't be where I am without mum and dad, that's for sure. But they're getting how I see the family at this part of the season and last season. It's all paid off, not just for me, but for those as well, knowing that they've not got to fork out money. And 2017, when I rode in World Super Sport, we actually didn't finish paying that till the middle of 2018. That's why I had to stop racing in 2018, because I was actually paying for a ride that I'd already done, and it was awful. So that's when I stopped, and from then onwards I've slowly built myself back up. Loads of pieces going to the puzzle. Steve from Hawk Racing, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you right now if it weren't for Steve. That is a fact. He gave me a chance on a superbike when no one else did, and then Paul and Alan came along and they gave me a chance that I've been here for many years with now, and hopefully I can carry it on.
So 4 seasons at OMG now.
Yeah,
potentially a 5th, I would like to think. Thank you, Maggie. Great question. On to Mick Strickland. Again, congratulations on the World Superbike wildcard. Is this a series you would like to progress to? And if so, how soon?
I think about it, but not being able to have my granddad there or silly things like that frustrate me without even going. I've got used to being with this team and all my family coming, and 25 people are coming to a ref already. I don't even know how I'm getting there yet or where I'm staying. There's 25 people coming. Whole of Jacksdale, basically.
It is, yeah. Jacksdale's going to be closed for the weekend.
Got a great fan base and support. I've always had great support, family-wise and friends. And yeah, going back to the question, it'd be good. Say the question again, the last bit.
Would you like to progress to World Superbike?
Sorry, yeah.
And if so, how soon?
Yeah, at the minute, I want to become British Superbike champion, and I feel like if I do become British Superbike champion, I want to do it again. And if I come second or third, then I want to win it next year. So, like I said, the World Superbike wildcard to me is a bonus. It's not so much I want to go there and show them what I can do because I want to ride that bike. To me, I'm almost feel like I'm on the same wavelength of Paul and Alan. They want to see where they shape up, and I want to see where I shape up. But to me, it's a bonus and a privilege. I'm not looking to go to World Superbike just yet, maybe in the future, but for now I want to become British Superbike champion, and if I can't do it this year, I'll try and do it next year.
How does that sit with you with how Taz is doing? I know you're close to Taz. I know he lives in Andorra now. Him and Brad are on their little adventures, but you know how difficult that transition's been from both Taz and Brad in terms of the electronics and how the bikes are. Unless you go in from a Yamaha perspective, unless you go in at GRT level, it's going to be really difficult to make that step anyway, isn't it? From an outsider's point of view.
In my eyes, they're racing against the best rider in the world, week in, week out. So, in my opinion, when they're 2 seconds off, to me it's 1.3, 1.4. He's that good. So I almost think sometimes it looks worse than what it actually is. When Top Rack's winning 12, 13 races on the bounce, some is winning by 6, 7 seconds. They ain't racing him. They're racing second place, and they're not that far off.
They're not racing him, they're just in the same race.
They're in the same race. But I don't like to see where they both are at the minute. They're both good friends of mine. I know how fast they can both ride a bike. But, like I said, Taz in BSB probably did the same as me. Started on a Yamaha, rode up to a British Superbike champion, and then cleared off, as you would. If you don't want to be in this paddock, you don't want to be in the paddock. But for me, I feel like things are a bit different. Yeah. I'm more of a family man. I love my dog. I wouldn't like to leave Sully all the time. And yeah, I'm happy where I am at the minute. So
I think there's a lot to be said for having that comfort. If you want to go and do that and you're in a position to do that, brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's why it's sort of like Danny Buchan's done so many years here and Glenn's done so many years here. You either want to take that step and challenge yourself. I know a couple of riders in the championship that are looking at this year and next year and then want to move on while they're still young enough to do it. But whether those opportunities come up that are worthwhile taking, or you can stay here, be back-to-back champion.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting what you said there about Taz, because it took him 5 seasons, didn't it?
Yeah.
On the Yamaha.
He was fast straight away in the first season, but to go fast, he went fast at Brands and Donington, and he was a bit pants at Oulton and...
well, this was his bogey track, wasn't it, pretty much? It was like a flea on a dog's back here in
this
Cadwell.
One in Cadwell, and that year that he won, I still don't think he mastered some of the tracks, but he was brilliant at all the other ones. But every year, those bogey tracks got better, and I feel like I've almost done a bit of a carbon copy.
That's what made me think.
Yeah.
Because it was a similar sort of timescale.
Yeah.
And almost a similar sort of age.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, so...
Don't be thinking about that too deeply.
No.
And the final one from Mick. Who's been the biggest influence on your racing career and why?
That's a good question. Influence-wise, so I'd say, I'd probably say my dad, because he's not been a motocross dad, or he's probably been someone from the age of me being like 8. I can see the belief he has in me today is the same as when Ed when I was 8, and then the only other person I'd probably say recently the influence is Tommy.
Yeah.
Obviously, it could never be Tommy from when I was a kid because blah, 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 blah. But
of course. It's all timing, isn't it? It's planets aligning. I'm a big fan of things dropping into place and planets aligning.
It all come together and recently, and obviously 2011 when I won the championship, that was the same. Tommy won his, and I didn't know him to even say hello to then, and now he's my manager. So I think growing up to before getting to know Tommy, definitely my dad was my biggest influence, and he's obviously the reason why I still went racing, because I wouldn't have been where I am without him and all the family. So, yeah.
From Craig, thank you for that one, Mick. Craig Lowe has sent in 5 questions, so I'm going to pick 2. Craig's brilliant. He's a big fan of the show, and he's a good friend of mine, and he always puts a big selection of questions. But he did put a couple of laughing faces after this one of the best team press officer you've ever worked with. I can answer that.
You want me to answer that question?
Go on then.
I'll be honest, he's brilliant.
He is.
For that.
I'm just looking at it. It's right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, behind the camera is Ryan Lilly.
He's hiding behind the camera, but I'll give him credit where it's due. He is very good. Very good.
Yeah, mate. Bit of kudos for you. And rightly so. Told you were doing all right. Your rider says so, then he must be doing all right. This is a nice question to finish on. What parts of 3 tracks would you combine to make your ultimate track? And then what bike would you like to ride it on?
That's a good question.
Cheers, I'm going to use that one again.
I think 2 tracks would be easier.
Go for it.
No, I have 3 tracks. My favourite track's Donington.
Yep.
1 for surface, 1 for...
Which part of Donington?
Oh, so you want to...
Part of each 3 tracks.
I thought he meant blend 3 tracks together and it'd be like a 5.5 minute lap. It means 3 sections.
Yeah, so you could like take sector 2 out of Donington and wherever, just sections of 3 tracks to make 1.
Okay. So Donington's going on there at some point.
Yeah.
I prefer Phillip Island sector 1. So that's sector 1. I'm going for Donington Park sector 2. And the 3rd section, I don't know if he's asking about BSB tracks or not, but absolutely.
No, it's tracks you've ridden.
And then I'm going to go for Magello for the last sector.
Ooh. Fast flowing corners, Kyle.
That is a brilliant track if you did that.
They're fast flowing corners, aren't there? There's no stop starts on there.
No.
Excellent. What would you ride?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that question. Oh, I'd ride a Yamaha, wouldn't I? Don't know what.
My guess was probably an R6.
I'd ride my...
For you?
Yeah.
Take your R6 out there.
I'd take my R6 out there and do that. That'd probably be... I'd have to buy a bigger fuel tank to fill it up and keep riding around it, but that good.
Wearing a groove in it.
Yep.
It's absolutely way. Kyle, thank you, mate. This has been an absolute pleasure as always.
Anytime.
We wish you all the best for this weekend at Oulton Park and for the rest of the season. What will be. May the best man win, but we wish you all the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Ryde.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did putting it together. A massive thank you to Ryan Lilly at Grilla OMG Racing for organising it for us, and to Kyle for his time as well. If you go back and look at the interview that we did with Kyle at Cadwell Park last year and contrast it to the interview this year, there's a definite air of confidence that we haven't seen in Kyle on the Superbike, and it's so good to see. As we said at the end of the show, who's going to win the crown? We've no idea. But with 2 wins at Oulton Park, a place he's never won at, Kyle's thrown himself right back into the championship mix, leaving the Cheshire circuit just 6 points behind his championship rival Tommy Bridewell, as we head to his home circuit at Donington Park. We can't wait to see how the season unfolds, and don't forget Glenn Irwin's still in there as well. He's not out of the picture just yet. It's going to make for an amazing final couple of rounds to the Bennetts British Superbike Championship of 2024, and we can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Don't forget, drop us a like and subscribe. If you enjoy the channel, share it with your friends on the social media, but the likes and subscribes make all the difference to us and help us bring you these chats from wherever we can, from MotoGP, World Superbikes and BSB, as we've been lucky to do this year. So thank you to you all for all of your support, and we'll look forward to catching up again next week.